Hello and welcome to Short Story Scene. I'm your host and storyteller, and here we have a tale called The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The moon was ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over purple moor, and the highwayman came riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He'd French-cocked hat on his forehead and a bunch of lace at his chin, the coat of clear velvet and breeches of brown doeskin. They fitted with never a wrinkle. His boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jeweled twinkle, his pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle under the jeweled sky. Over the cobbles and the cluttered and the clash in the dark inn yard, he tapped his whip and the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, who should be waiting there, but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, painted a dark red love knot in her long black hair. And dark in the dark old inn a stable wicket creaked, where Tim the ostler listened. His face was white and peaked. His eyes were hollow as a man's, his hair like moldy hay, and he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter. Dumb as a dog he listened, and he heard the robber say, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart, I am after a prize tonight, but I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look for me by moonlight, watch me by moonlight. I'll come thee by moonlight, though the hell should bar the way." He rose upright in stirrups. He scarce could reach her hand, but she loosened her hair in the seizement. His face burnt like a brand, and the black cascade of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed the waves in moonlight, oh sweet black waves in moonlight. Then he tugged at a rein in the moonlight and galloped away to the west. He did not come in the dawning, he did not come at noon, and out of the tawny sunset before the rise of the moon. When the road was a gypsy's ribbon, looping the purple moor, the red-coat troop came marching. King George's men came marching up the old inn door. They said no word to the landlord, they drank his ale instead, but they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of the narrow bed. Two of them knelt at the casement with muskets at their side. There was death at every window, and hell at one dark window. For Bess could see through the casement that the road that he would ride. They had tied her up to attention with many sneering jests. They had bound a musket beside her, with a muzzle beneath her breast. "Now keep good watch," they kissed her, and she heard the doomed man say, "Look for me by moonlight, watch me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." She twisted her hands behind her, but all the knots held good. She withered her hands till the fingers were wet with sweat or blood. They stretched and strained in darkness, and the hours crawled by like years, till now on the stroke of midnight, cold on the stroke of midnight, the tip of one finger touched it, the trigger at least was hers. The tip of one finger touched it, she strove no more for the rest. Up she stood, up to attention, with the muzzle beneath her breast. She would not risk her hearing, she would not strive again, and the road lay bare in the moonlight, blank and bare in the moonlight, and the blood of her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her lover's refrain. Trot, 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 had they heard it, the horses' hoofs ringing clear, trot, 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 in the distance, were they deaf, did they not hear? Down the ribbon of the moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwayman came riding. The red coats looked to their priming, and she stood up straight and still. Trot, trot, in the frosty silence, trot, trot, in the echoing night. Nearer he came and nearer, and her face like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment, she drew one last breath. Then her finger moved in the moonlight, her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. He turned, he spurted in the west, and he did not know who stood, bowed with her head over the musket, drenched with her own blood. Not till the dawn he had heard it, and his face grew gray to hear how Bess, the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched for her love in the moonlight and died in the darkness there. Back he spurred like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky, with a white road smoking behind him and his rapier brandished high. Blood-red were the spurs in the golden noon. Wine-red was his velvet coat, and when he shot him down on the highway, down like a dog on the highway, then he lay in the blood on the highway with a bunch of lace at his throat. And still of the winter's night, they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is ghostly galleon tossed upon the cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, the highwayman comes riding, a highwayman comes riding up the old inn door. Over the coal balls he clatters and he clangs in the dark inn yard. He taps with his whip on the shutter, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, painted with the dark red velvet knot in her long black hair. And that concludes our tale, The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes.